difference between an elite athlete
and
the average person.
And a don.
Yeah. Well, come on. Give me some credit.
But every day you decide that you're going to lay one brick. It's all you got to do. It takes you 10 minutes. And then next day you lay another brick. Or by the end of the year, you built a wall.
The average cost of a house these days, $1 million?
So how on earth, so I'm 20, how am I going to do that?
But if they wait till they're 32 and they've saved all their money, buying a place in Nash Grove is no longer $1 million. It's now $3 million.
Exactly.
Always ask why.
Yep.
Yeah, the strength
Then ask
of an
how.
idle question. Very, very powerful.
Pissed off many people in my time because I am too curious. And then we go to school.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't anyway.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Mastering Podcast, where we unlock the secrets and strategies for success. I'm the host, Magnus Olsen, and I'm joined by co-host Don Sanker and Lucas Meadowcroft. Today, we sit down with Elia Hill, former CEO of Tennis Queensland. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
So guys, that was a really good chat. We just had Riley Day and Cedric Dubler talking about sports, life after sports, and also the what they have
mindset,
to go through.
mental strength.
That's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. And we learnt that 400 metres is the toughest event in athletics. Should we share with the guys that Riley has only just made a decision? It's not gone public yet.
So she made it. She made the announcement on the podcast that she's made the decision this week that she's switching from 200 to 400. So
Wow. That just gave me goosebumps.
yeah.
Well, I guess as a professional athlete like they are, you got to know where your strengths are. And if you're not getting to a point in your career that you're not competing or winning, like always getting a top 1, 2, then you got to make a decision at some point, right?
Yeah, hers was actually driven by injury. And they saying that because of all the injuries that she was receiving doing the 100 and the 200, she's made that decision now thinking that from a physiological perspective that moving into that 400, she's going to get less injuries. But after listening to Don go through what the pain barriers that you go through, I'm not sure that she's going to have.
I think she's ready for it. But the biggest thing is like one of the biggest insights we got from the two athletes is the difference between an elite athlete, right, and the average person.
And a don.
Yep.
Well, I used to be elite at one point. Come on, give me some credit.
He trains like an elite athlete.
Yeah, it's the intention. We also found out
Yep,
it's the
it's
intention that matters, right? So I have the intention of, I don't call myself elite. That's elite. That is the difference.
Let me chime in there. Like as a 48-year-old, I think it's a big difference that when you're 25 years old and the training they do, and then you compare that to the training that you do as a 48-year-old,
I still
that's
do the
more
same
professional.
Training.
Yep.
I still do the same training. I can tell you that. So the intention has to be there, but it's the resilience and what keeps these guys going, and what makes them make decisions that sound absolutely crazy to the average person. I think that's what separates the average from an elite athlete. Right.
I'm super excited to listen to it.
And Elia, I've got to ask you. You've been around elite athletes all your life, right? So, does that reflect across the board?
It does, but I think it's intention's one thing, but the commitment and the passion and the want, it's just so natural. The hunger is there, and you just see they want to win. They want to be the best, and if they are the best, they want to be the best, even more than the best. Like it's just something in them that they wake up and just go. And I think that's just, it's not for everyone.
It's not. But what I found really interesting, particularly with Cedric, is it's all of those multi event athletes, just the camaraderie that they have between them. Like they're obviously competing for 2 days together. But the individual camaraderie that they have and the sportsmanship they throw throughout their own circle is incredible.
Yeah, I think it's their family though.
Yeah,
that's their support network.
Yeah, but
that's
what keeps going as an individual. That's what surprised me. Like for someone to keep missing the team year on year, 3 years, and then to come back and say, no, I'm gonna, instead of giving up, I'm gonna switch to the hardest event on the schedule, and I'm gonna have a crack at that. Like that's
determination.
Yeah. Like who's as an example, in your world, who would you say would the...
I mean, we've all recently seen heard the Yelena Dokic story that was on Channel 9, and she went through some really tough times, and she came back as herself without the family, I suppose, circle around her. And from memory, there's a piece in the doco that says, this now was the fight of my life. I had to use that resilience. I had to use, what I had to be the best back then to be the best again. So, that's an example of, she went through some tough times, and then she said, no, I'm going to do it again. And she did. And she beat all the demons, and she came back and, came back on Rod Laver Arena, and she had the crowd behind her. And
in her own terms.
On her own terms. So I think the most, that jumps to mind would just be that doco that we just saw on her. That was pretty amazing.
Tell us a bit about your background. Tennis has been part of your life.
Yeah.
Your first time you're joining the panel.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
I think I'm in safe hands.
You absolutely are.
You are. So tell us a bit about your journey in sports. Like it's,
Yeah. I for some reason loved tennis, and I remember I used to beg my grandmother to take me down onto the court because no one else would play, and she did. And then for my 7th birthday, all I wanted was a tennis racket, and I don't know why, because no one played tennis in my family at all, and I didn't get one, and I was devastated. And they just thought, okay, she actually might like this sport. So my grandmother then gave me some lessons, and I still remember that feeling I had when I had my first lesson. I thought, I want to do this all the time. I was 7 and I just loved it. Then I had lots of lessons, played fixtures and tournaments, loved it. And then my parents said, we'll get a half court at the house. She'll never play. So that half court now has a big Titan shed on it. My father says it was the best investment from a concrete slab, because concrete is apparently very expensive right now. And him and I used to play on that all the time. And I just loved it. So for me, it was a part of my life. It was a way of living. All I wanted to do was be a professional tennis player. All I wanted to do was just play every single day that I possibly could. And I was really lucky. I was really supported to do that. So around the 12, 13 mark, you start playing national events, and every holidays you had to make the top, I want to say 32, but it might have been 64 in the country to go and play these national events. And that's where your friends were. So every weekend you'd be playing to get points to go to that national event. And if you didn't go, it was just the end of the world. So you did everything you could to make sure you were the best to be at that event, but also you just wanted to be there. So you did what you needed to do at school so you could play. And I'm sure my parents held over my head many a time, well, if you don't do this at school, then you can't play. But because I love the sport so much, they actually say we didn't need to. You think that they did, but they said we didn't need to do that. That was just, you naturally got stuff done because you just wanted to play the sport. So I did a lot in high school. I somehow got through high school with a lot of support. I was really dedicated to my studies. I'm from the Sunshine Coast. I went to school in Brisbane. 2-hour travel there, 2-hour travel home. Oh, wow. The train, got a lot of books every day. Then I'd train in Wynnum. So I went to St Paul's at Bald Hills. My parents were at Bribie. Went to school at St Paul's and I trained at Wynnum. So I'd get picked up at 10 past 3.
Triangle.
Yeah.
What did you do in the 2 hours? Like there's no iPhone.
Yeah, well, Discmans were a thing. And then when your battery ran out, you put it onto AM radio. That was a thing, definitely.
Read your textbooks.
And I did a lot of homework, and I liked to get the early train, and my friend used to like to do her homework as well. So I kind of, and I think, for you guys, particularly Don and Lucas, you know me well, I fit a lot into a day, because if there's 1 minute, I've got 1 minute to do something. It's not, I've only got a minute, I won't. So I think I just learnt to fit a lot in. And it probably means that I'm literally right on time all the time. I'm never 5 minutes early because I take it up to that last piece. So when Teams came in, I was like, right, I can get so much more done in my day than actual meetings getting places. So the travel was a big part, but a lot of kids did it from the Sunshine Coast, and a lot of people still do it. So for me, it's really normal to travel a long way to get somewhere if you want to get there. That's just what it is. So I suppose, back to loving the sport in senior, and back then, I don't know if it's the same now, I think you could choose 6 subjects, but you only needed 5 to get through year 11 and 12 to come out with an OP. So I dropped a subject, had a spare subject to spare time to able to do some work. And I was travelling a bit, just playing the whole time, and really supportive school. And first year out of school, I then said, right, I really want to give this a go. Unfortunately, not too long after that, probably about 18 months, I really lost the passion for the sport and became quite anxious and just really wasn't enjoying competing anymore.
What do you think triggered that?
I don't know what the trigger was, but I just remember I was in Home Hill where they have this amazing tennis centre, and it was what we call a satellite tournament. And look, I was just giving it a go. By no means I was winning this stuff. I was just giving it a red hot go as best as I could. But the lessons I learnt in sport for me are, I think, what's got me here today. And I remember I was being billeted out because you were allowed to back then. And I thought, geez, I hope
I heard that term for ages.
I know, right? That's how old I am.
still don't know
I am
about
old. We'll tell you later. And I remember thinking, I just want
I
to
don't know. I think I want to know now.
So effectively billeting. So let's say the kids go to Toowoomba for a soccer tournament, and they'll stay in a hotel. When we were kids, you used to get billeted. So Lucas would put his hand up, I'd put my hand up, you put your hand up, would take the kids in.
Kids would take on somebody else that's travelling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you lived in Brisbane and there was a tournament and there was coming from Toowoomba, you would let one of the Toowoomba kids stay with you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Doesn't really happen anymore.
It's a great concept.
It's a great concept.
Yeah. And we all did it. I think rules and stuff got in the way, but that's okay.
Airbnb.
Yeah, maybe it's like Airbnb for your child, or there's a room or something. But and I just remember thinking, I'd rather be injured than play today. Wow. I'd rather be pushed down some stairs. I need an excuse to not play. And I went out on court. I remember I lost that match 2-2. It's somewhere written down. And the whole match, I just felt sick. I thought, I just don't want to be here anymore. And I was like, right, I'm not gonna play.
So that's 18 months out of school. So what, you were 18, 19?
Yep. And I probably haven't thought about how I got there, but that's what I remember. And I said to my parents, I really don't want to play anymore. I think I'm done. And they were just like, what do you mean you're done? Like, what do you? And I said, I'm really unhappy. And it was tough for them because they'd given up so much. You know, my sister's 7 years younger. I remember Mum would put her in the car asleep and take me to tournaments at UQ, and she'd have her breakfast in the car watching me play all day. Like they were amazing in the way they supported me, but I didn't want to do that anymore. So a little bit of time off, and then I thought, well, I could go to college. I was looking at going over to Arizona, but it wasn't right, but it was an option. And then my coach at the time said, why don't you just come and do some hours just to see what you feel about coaching, and just till you figure it out. And I instantly fell in love with being on court and helping people become better. And I think that's taken me into my life now, because what I do
who did you start coaching? Was it kids?
They were just kids.
Yep.
And I love
Hold on. I didn't know that you were a coach.
Yeah. How I got here, it's a long journey. We got a long time, right? We got a long time to talk. That's like my life story. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but but yeah. And I was really grateful to that coach and the people around me. And you know, back in those days, you'd go to your coach or someone you really respected and say, "Look, can I do some hours with you? I want to get better." Yep. That's a bit different now. And you
love being back on court, but not for yourself, for someone else.
Yeah.
So and it's something that triggered you.
Yeah,
it just wasn't for you personally, but helping someone else to achieve their goals was for you.
Yeah, and
that makes a lot of sense now. Okay.
Yeah, I just loved it. So I kind of went through all my levels, and you know, had amazing people around me, and you know, you work 6 days a week, and you
maybe just expand on that. So what do you mean level? So you obviously the level of coach that you are.
Yeah. So back in the day, there was like level 1, which was like a junior coach, level 2, which was a little bit more of a senior coach, and that was kind of it. Now, Tennis Australia.
How do you get from level 1 to level 2 as a coach?
You have to pass. You have to go into.
What's the highest level?
So now it is high performance coach with Tennis Australia, and they have the most amazing education platform for coaching. You know, I was a facilitator for some time where I would coach coaches and be in the education team. And again, I loved giving. Like there's this something in me that I love to help and give. And the more you get to know me and my story, that's been the consistent bit of me, I suppose. So back then it was a level 1 coach, and it was on a Tuesday night. You go to UQ and you learn, and they were the people you grew up around, and you loved doing it, and your friends were there. And I did my next level, and I thought this is pretty good. And there was an opportunity to travel, and I thought I'll put my hand up for this job. It was in a newsletter, and it was in Thailand. And I thought, I'm 21. There's no way I'm going to get an interview. Cut a long story short, got an interview and moved to Thailand at 21 to coach at an international school.
Be a surfer?
No. No. I like the beach, but I wouldn't say I'm a surfer. Yeah. Not that I don't want to.
So what was a draw card for Thailand at 21?
I think I'm really quite lucky. My dad's British and my mum's of an Italian descent, and I was always brought up to leave, go and see the world. Bribie Island is a beautiful place, but this isn't it. It's, I was just really encouraged to, and I'd done a lot of, like from 12 I was travelling, so I had done a lot, and I'm a very independent person. I remember being at the shops when I was like 10 saying, I can't wait to do my own shopping, can't wait to like buy my own groceries. I was just this kid. And all these things, all these pennies will be dropping for you right now, Don. And
you
I
have no idea how much groceries cost, but I want to do this.
Exactly. Yeah, I probably didn't think about that. And I was a worker. My mum's side had a hotel, and we all worked in that growing up. And I was like, well, I love to work, and I love doing this, and been told to leave. Go and see the world. Don't stay here. Even though I went to school in the city, and that was 20 years ago.
What did your dad do?
My dad's retired now, but he was a fireman.
Fireman. Okay.
And he was a fireman at 18, 19 in London.
Yep.
Before breathing apparatus, before all the stuff that's safe, and he just loved his job. He loved it more than anything.
Siblings?
One, younger. She's a sommelier by trade, so a professional of wine, wine and food.
Yeah.
She doesn't mind a drop, but
someone
she's...
who gets paid to drink.
Yeah.
Well, she serves now and matches menus and makes sure that you have the best wine list ever, and a plug to Mosconi's, which is the most amazing restaurant. And she just loves it there. So she's travelled the world being a sommelier. So, and she could, she'll hear this, like she could have done anything, but she just loves. She loves serving. She loves wine. She loves the education behind it, the science behind it, like her passion for it. So for some reason, we both fell into things that we loved. We've never, I would say, worked a tough day. We've loved waking up, which is really cool.
So when did you transition from tennis coaching to what was the next thing?
Tennis coaching to then going to the administration of tennis. So I was in Thailand for some time, and this might be for another podcast. I was there on the 10th of December, and the tsunami came on the 26th. So that was an experience.
You were there just before.
Holistically. Amazing. And a story for another time. So the world kind of changed a little bit that day, as it did for everyone, not just me. And I was lucky to be in a safe enough place. I came home for a little bit after probably 12, 18 months there, did some more coaching here, travelling with higher players. And then my coach, who got me coaching, said, hey, how about you come over to Hong Kong? And I said, no, I'm not coming over. Anyway, the third time he called, I said, okay, I'll go over. So I went to Hong Kong for a while, and then when I came back, that's when I went into the administration of tennis.
So Hong Kong was still coaching?
Coaching and travelling, yep. Amazing, loved it. Very lucky again, like the sport's done a lot for me.
Yeah.
And
so how old were you when you started in the administration of tennis?
I was 26-ish,
okay, wow.
around there. So late, I would say. For me, I've compared to, we got these amazing young people coming through now that are a little bit younger in that role. And there was a role for Brisbane participation, effectively. And someone said, are you going to go for that job? And I was still coaching. And I said, no, I can't do that. I've just been brought home by this coach. I'm very loyal. I can't leave. I'm working for him now. And they said, well, if you don't apply for that job, you're going to hit balls for a really long time, and I don't think you want to do that anymore. And I thought, I'll give it a go. Got an application in, and c'est la vie, 15 years later, I sat in lots of deck chairs, had the most amazing career. And
15 years?
Yeah,
so
a long time.
You were with tennis for that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and to be honest, I probably have never really left. I finished as the acting CEO of Tennis Queensland. I thought, right, I want to go and look at some different things now, and I loved that space, but I still stayed really close to a lot of my mentors at Tennis Australia and the tournament at the Brisbane Internationals.
So how was that transition from, you were still, whether you're a coach or whether you're a athlete, you're still a sports person, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big difference, like going from that to a corporate life.
Yeah.
It's a transition, and that's something we talked about with Cedric and Riley, and that's, at some point you've got to realize, okay, well, I've got to grow up. Is that?
I was ready to get off court.
Is that growing up? Or is that saying financial security or
It's a transition. I did the same thing going from being on the tools and then going into the office. Like there was a time where I've had a gut full of actually
you just have enough.
And everything. And
just have enough.
Let's move into an
So
area.
you're saying it's no different to anyone changing jobs.
Transition.
It's
You're just ready.
What are you most
But
proud
it
of?
also sounds like what you said before is someone else noticed that you were ready
Yeah.
before you noticed.
Yeah. Because I thought I can't do this to this person. Like this boss brought me back to Australia to coach, who I respected so much, and I thought there is no way I can be home for 3 months, and they've offered me a really good role. And I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm going to go now. That just doesn't. It's not in my DNA.
What are you most proud of that you achieved during those 15 years?
Oh,
Tennis Australia's got to be one of the most successful sporting
they are amazing.
codes, right? Like
Yep.
you talked about the misgivings of track and field and athletics in
Yeah.
Australia, but tennis seems to have done a lot of things right.
Yeah. Oh, that they have, and
Australian Open has
starts at the
become
top.
one of the
yeah. You know, we've got an amazing leader. Like Craig is amazing. You know, Cam at Tennis Queensland is amazing, and spent a lot of time working with Craig and others around him. Tom Lana, the Chief Tennis Officer at Tennis Australia, an amazing leader. And I'll go to one of my most proud of, but I am, when I say, my journey and how I've got to here, I am just so grateful. I just don't think I would have learnt what I'd learnt or be who I am or been stretched the way I was stretched. Like my gratitude for my time in sport and particularly tennis, I think I'm just so lucky. And now I'm in a completely different world now, but it's all the skills I learnt there that are over here helping people.
But how did tennis crack the code? Right? The reason why I'm asking is because you're talking about the fact that we don't have enough eyeballs. We're Australia, right? We're so far away from, as a continent, we're so far away from everywhere.
Yeah.
Our athletes have to travel so much further to compete with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And the commercial opportunities are so little.
Yeah.
And it could have been any sport in Australia, is what
Yeah.
you're saying, but tennis.
Cracked it, right?
Figured it out.
And the tennis players have the same challenges, right? That any other.
What do you just elaborate on that? What has tennis done so differently to be successful compared to some of those other codes?
Well, it's become a destination for tennis.
Sport tourism.
Right.
1.2 million people went through the Australian Open gates this year.
And
But even if you listen to
Amazing.
the athletes that are coming, like the international athletes coming to Australia for the Australian Open, they say,
want
I
to.
love
Yeah.
playing in Australia. I love coming to Melbourne.
And it's not
Yeah.
just the Australian
Wow.
Open; it's the whole circuit, right? They come to compete in the whole circuit. They don't just come to the Australian Open.
Was that
and then just go.
strategic?
We need to make sure the summer is set up for many things, not just one.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, as far as tennis is concerned, was that a strategic move to be able to let's become this world destination for tennis players?
But how did tennis become part of the world schedule, right? That's one of the biggest things. Every one of these sports have that. Then if you look at track and field, right? There's a world tour.
Yeah.
But Australia's not there.
Well,
Yeah.
Sydney just become the world major for a marathon.
Yeah.
It's taken
Yeah.
20, 30 years
To be part of that, like the Boston Marathon or the London Marathon. And
It's
so
now number 7 in the world.
Yeah,
So
wow.
part of that. It's the first year's only this year.
But how do you do that?
Well, it took them 3 years to get through the approval process.
Okay,
But
so there's
I guess
there was an approval process.
Yeah, correct.
And what did tennis do? Like, how long has Australia been hosting that Open?
Oh, we've been hosting it for, goodness, decades and decades to come. But I think it just comes down to we've got amazing leadership. The leadership and the foresight that our leaders have there, and
Yep.
it's also a flywheel. The Australian Open is incredibly important. That also allows us to give back into grassroots and help the talent and the talent and the future of tomorrow. So.
Yep.
I guess to Don's question,
Yeah.
were you originally when you were at Tennis Australia or Tennis Queensland, were they already in Australian Open at that
Yeah,
point?
yeah, absolutely.
So
The
it's been
Australian
around
Open's been around for
in-
a significant
So you
amount
might
of
know the
time.
answer to Don's question, which
Yeah.
was it a strategic directions and from
How to
a
create-
leader
yeah, that's right.
inside Tennis Australia
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
we 100% want to be on the world map. What activities do we need to do to get there? That's essentially
Yeah,
what you're asking.
that is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out why hasn't it been replicated by other sports?
Other sports, yeah.
In Australia, right? We're really
We're a sport country.
we are right. We love celebrating sports. Like
Yeah.
we got if you can compare something similar, would be the Formula One, right?
Yeah,
We're a small country, but it keeps coming back.
yeah. Look, I think the ingredients, there's a lot of them, and there's probably someone better to answer it than me. But the thing that I really saw...
We will find one.
Yeah, we'll find one. But I will say the one thing, you go to the AO and the tennis is really important. Great.
Yeah.
But the family activities are phenomenal. The music opportunities, the food and dining opportunities. You can go to the Australian Open and have a fine dining experience and not watch tennis. You can go there and just go on the water slide with your kids. You can go there and just watch a concert. There is so much to do at our event, and that's just grown
all those
over time.
Opportunities come from the back of, you want to make the athletes travel here, right? From the other side of the world. It's
a long way away.
From, yeah.
You make them want to come. You make them want to compete.
Or bring their families.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
So there's, how do we do that? That's what, like, if we can do that in one or two sports, we should be able to replicate it in every sport. It's not like we have a lack of talent.
Yeah, there's lots of things that have made up to it. I don't think it's a one sentence answer.
It sounds like it's taken 30 years to get to that point, right? So
and every year it just gets stronger and stronger. Yeah. But again, I think
you got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
the leadership though is unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
I think that was unbelievable.
So what about now? What are you doing now?
Yeah, so now, so I'm really lucky. I met, again, through tennis, I met a gentleman called Michael Wilkins, and I did a bit of work with, at the time, Djokovic's strategy coach, an Australian guy called Craig O'Shaughnessy, and just did some speaking work for him. He did speaking moments, whether it be in a boardroom or in a classroom or wherever it might be, and he's an amazing speaker. And
I think you're downplaying. Last time I heard Craig O'Shaughnessy speak, he actually said he wouldn't be where he is without Elia. So
it was we met through a coaches conference a long time ago, and I just thought he had a great story. And one day I got him to speak for me because I was in a bind, and I said, look, can you come and just talk to people around the strategy of tennis? And
tell us a bit about what he did, because I was there when he was last time in Australia. I told you.
Yeah, as in how it kind of all happened,
what Craig's done, like in terms of the sport
right,
of tennis,
yeah. So effectively, if you know the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt, he did that with tennis. So he started to understand the numbers and the data behind tennis probably before anyone else had ever done that. And one of his stories talks around we understand how many double faults there are in a match, we understand how many aces there are, but no one had really started to understand the length of rally. So I serve to you, you return, that's 2. I serve to you, you return but it goes out, that's an average of 1. So that was a number that hadn't really been discovered before. And the long story short is, after a lot of data and processing, he found out that the average rally length of tennis is 1. So would you work on your serve or your return? Your return. Now, growing up, we don't do that much on our return, ever. So when
the serves in tennis gotten better.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing. So he uncovered a lot there, and now the strategy. There's amazing strategy people throughout our sport, but he was a bit of a pioneer in that space. So
how old is he?
He'll kill me if he hears this. He's got a great mind for a young man. So
that's even better.
Yeah.
So he's got a background as a coach.
Yeah, he's an Aussie guy. He's a coach, and again, just loved the sport. And he's actually a journalist by trade, so he can speak and talk and write. And the way he tells a story and is able to articulate what he can to the players is pretty special. So, so Craig was presenting at a dinner at the airport, and Michael was at this dinner, and I brought a tennis friend, and my tennis friend said, "Hey, Wilco," and I'm like, "How on earth do you know anyone here? This is not a tennis event. Like, this is a corporate event." And then I met Michael and understood what they were doing effectively through strategy and property and psychology, and started to say, okay, I think I like this. I'd always been interested in property. I wanted to understand more how you can create wealth through property and strategy, and that was kind of what their business was. And then just over time started to understand a little bit more, and the company's called New Star. And around a year-ish ago, what are we now? What month are we in? February. So maybe, just not even that, maybe May-ish. They said, we'd love to expand our business and we'd love to grow our business and have more partners, and we'd love for you to come on as our Chief Growth Officer. So that's what I do every day for them, and effectively they help people have a wealth creation strategy through property. The front half of the business is through psychology and strategy and making sure that you've got a team around you and you're ready for the day you don't work anymore. and how do we make sure that more people have that opportunity. And then Michael, who I spoke about earlier, he finds the property across Australia. So we spend time with people and ask them who they want to be, what they'd like to have, and then we put a strategy in place around property to help them do that with their external team.
Do you have to be rich to be able to? Or how much? What do you have to be?
No, so really you're looking at how do you invest, and that and for us that's off the plan, and off the plan is very different to going to buy a house down the road. That's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that you need to have to be ready for that. So off the plan is very different. It's around making sure that you buy in a great spot and you have all the demographics behind you and all the research, etc., which we do at New Star. We make sure we give you everything because I know how busy you are, and I assume will be for you. You don't have time to do that yourself. So
He's got heaps of time.
Heaps of time. We effectively get all of
he's one of the... he's done everything right, so he can now retire.
He can tell, yeah. So, but effectively, we just the team around you gives you all of this stuff that you don't have time to go and do yourself, and then you can go and make some great decisions. Yeah. But when you buy off the plan, it's a much smaller deposit that you sit on whilst it's being built, and then when it's ready to go, we help find renters, and then you are able to use that equity for something else. Now,
capitalise on the uplift during that process.
Yeah.
Maybe you should talk to some of the sports people because they like.
And the thing, just quickly, and the part that I love about this, and is why again it's a helping.
Yeah.
You don't learn this at school. Like I'm married to a business teacher, and we don't teach that. So, not saying it's the only way, but to know that there is a way to get in, and it might be 2 or 3 properties for your lifespan. It could be 20. It depends on where you are. But you just have to be ready and be strategic and make great decisions. And the team that we put around you
crazy,
will do
right?
that.
We don't get that education in school.
Nope.
Right? Wealth management, wealth creation.
You absolutely
None
don't.
of that piece.
And it's formed off literally the basis of compounding.
It's compounding equity. Yep.
Compounding is just a word that's not people don't think
well,
about.
the problem
it's
is
putting little seeds down.
Know it in a negative condensation when you're talking about a mortgage. Compounding is bad.
And the benefits of off the plan, like from a tax perspective, people when you talk about super and you say, what's super like? I don't know. Do you have a self-managed super fund? What's that? And they could. So we just help people think differently, and we just do property. That's all we do.
And put them in control.
Yep.
Well, it's more of a strategic conversation, not an emotional, because most people buy property emotionally.
Yeah.
And this removes emotion from it.
I think you buy your personal place of residence, that's bought with emotion, but then other properties should be bought commercially.
Yeah. And that's the part, where you then purchase. Let's just say you bought everything in Perth.
Yep.
Well, what happens if something goes wrong? What's your diversified approach?
Yep.
So, and this is, again, these are just all the amazing questions, Nick, who's the front half of the business, that he just goes on a journey with you and understands you. And that is just, for me, that care factor is so important. And it's only then and if that's right for you, we've got some really great solutions. We don't say no to anything else. We're just really good at that bit.
I have to ask, what does a chief growth officer do in a daily role?
In a daily role, you have this conversation a lot. So often,
education?
People say, what does New Star do? Yep. And I'll say, okay, Don, so when would you think you'd like to retire? Okay, 50. Okay.
2 years from now.
2 years.
2 years from now.
There's still time.
What is when the salary gets turned off? Are you okay? And then people kind of start to think a bit more, and you have a very light conversation around that. Go, no, okay, well, what have you thought about it? No, okay, well, maybe you should have a think about a bit of a strategy. I'd love to. Okay, go and meet Oscar and Nick, and then they have that discovery session with you. So that's from an individual's perspective, but a big focus right now is around our partners. So working with, whether it be we could come to Surf, for example, and say we would love to present to your graduating cohort. So, how do we talk to many people via a lunch and learn or via a seminar where we present on, hey, this is just some things to think about. Here's some success stories. If you're interested and we can help you, let us know. So it's either an individual person or it's going to be around, hey, we'd love to get in front of a lot of people. It could be,
having this conversation one-on-one compared to one-to-many in those organisations makes a lot more commercial sense for you guys as well.
Yeah, it does.
It can help more people.
Yep. And honestly, we are just this really amazing helping business. We change people's lives through just thinking differently. And, you know, you don't have to be on a crazy amount. You just need to be diligent and be ready, and we can help you.
And transfer your mindset from spending your money to putting money into an investment.
Well, it was funny. I met a financial planner the other day, and I said to him, you know, this is what we do. And he said, gosh, do you know how many tradies I say don't buy a jet ski to? He said, 3 jet skis, you can go and help them a little bit more. And I said, I absolutely can. But they don't know any different. Yeah. And just to have another way to think, and that's where Nick is just phenomenal, you know, how he shifts people's mindset into high performance.
This is very much a mindset conversation.
It's just incredible. And, you know, I think I'm again, my gratitude towards the team, I'm a much better person, everything person than
How challenging is it? Like we're in this fast-moving consumer goods mindset.
It's long term.
Yeah. No
but when you wake up in 2 years' time, well, us 20, we will be so grateful for having that mindset and being offered the opportunity to have that mindset. And that's what we do.
But it's come back to people are not thinking about that whole compounding. We live in a instant gratification, which is why people, I want to live here, I'm going to rent this and I'm going to do this. They don't want to forego anything now for something better in the future. And you don't have to forego everything. Like you said, it might just be that jet ski conversation, but you're still having all this. But it's the smarts. The people I know that earn stupid money and then they spend stupid money. Then you got someone else that just earns okay money and then they just live wise and they're smart with their decisions and they're 10 times further advanced 20 years down the road than the guy that's earning stupid money because he's got a stupid money lifestyle as well.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, we're doing a lot of work with expats. You know, we spent some time in Singapore. We've opened up there. And, you know, I've been an expat and you go overseas and you forget about your super and you forget about your house. You come back and you've got it. So I could have found the love of my life over there, got married and come back when they're in high school. I'll come back to what I had with no super and I probably can't get the job that I had because I've left something high to come home. And, oh, my gosh, that's not really what I want to have. So, the strategy we have with our expats, and we've got, you know, lots of testimonials, like it's all on our website. We've got a YouTube channel as well, you know, so people can, we're sharing these stories. And, you know, we've got one amazing client who back in 2020 said, I want to make sure that I can come back and we'll be in a great position. I think he's 12 properties in now. And it's just by planting those seeds and making sure that he's thinking about home. And all we do is have the conversation of, have you thought about, so I might say, Don, you've been in, you know, London for 10 years. What have you sent home? Have you thought about home? No. Well, you're going to be here for another 10 years. Yep. You're going to do the time anyway. You're going to get to 50 anyway. Let us help you. And Don goes, okay. So it's not too late. It's just the time to think about it and have that moment. And the last bit there, and
I wouldn't be stupid enough to live in London, but
no. But example, and the other part here, and I know Nick that would love to come and meet you all. He talks about the knowing and the doing gap. I know what I have to do.
Yeah, it's a good.
Do I do it?
Yeah. It is a good time for this conversation, right? Like because we're in one of those times in history when there's a lot of uncertainty. Also, when it comes to financial literacy, I think people are at a loss, right? Like it's lowest it's probably ever been, mainly because...
Stupid thing is, it's so... The fundamental principles of compounding have been around since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
You love that word, compound.
Yeah.
It has, but that's the thing. People
one of the best books, if you want to read a great book on compounding, is called The Slight Edge.
Okay.
By
the guy's last name's Olsen, I remember that. James Olsen, Jimmy Olsen.
Okay.
I think I might actually...
Slight Edge.
We'll post it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
But I think, you know, just to not pause that conversation, but again, the gratitude for being stretched by Nick and the team, but meeting them through a passion where I love to help and helping gave back. It's funny how, you know, the dominoes line up, but again, what we do is just help. And for anyone who wants to, you know, to chat, Lucas, however they, you know, talk to us, we'd love to talk to them, but we just love to help people. And the average client is 4.8 properties with us. So they don't just do it once. This is around the strategy for the future.
This is Magnus's point, compounding, because once they understand the process around it, once they read this book, The Slight Edge.
I think it might actually use this example in the book, but if you think about every one of us gets a pallet of bricks. There's 300-400 bricks in a pallet just delivered to you, and it sits outside your house. But every day you decide that you're going to lay one brick. It's all you got to do. It takes you 10 minutes. And then next day you lay another brick. And then within a month you've built a wall. Or by the end of the year you built a wall. By the time you've done it for 10 years, you've built a house. Yeah. But how many people have got a yard that they've got 10 pallets of bricks? So they've had all the resources that everybody else has done, but they're too busy. I'm going to go get a coffee. I'm going to go and do this. But you lay that brick every single day. You spend that time. That's compounding.
How am I going to buy my iPhone?
Yeah.
But you don't need an iPhone.
That's the problem, right? Like this has been the problem. Yeah. There's so many distractions, and you're being like
keeping all the Joneses or the influencer world.
Yep.
Yeah. You'll see them on the way down. My grandfather would say, you'll see them on the way down when they pass you.
Yeah, I've seen this argument so many times. It's saying instead of buying an iPhone, if you invested that money into Apple stocks, right? Yeah. But then it always is, if you go into the comments like, but then I wouldn't have an iPhone.
Yeah. For
the last 10 years. I'm like, oh my God. And it's the same thing when it comes to wealth creation, right?
Yeah.
So how do you change that mindset? Like how do you get people saying, if you actually instead of spending $2,500 on an iPhone, which is ridiculous now to think that, when we were growing up, if you went back
still
and
is, I still
you're going to spend $2,500 on an iPhone.
5 years ago, you wouldn't spend that on a laptop.
No.
But you would. No. But that's the kind of mindset, capitalism and this whole notion. And this is why I said we are probably at the lowest when it comes to financial literacy. When you're spending $2,500 on an iPhone, and I'm an idiot who's done that too, but I can afford it, right?
Yeah.
But people who can't afford it still do it.
Yeah. And again,
how do you change that?
The conversation that he has with them. It's quite. Honestly, you just come out a better person.
It's like what Lucas said. It's a mindset shift that all of a sudden your thinking was we're trained to think like this, and someone just expands that and goes, hang on a second, have you thought of that?
Yeah.
And you don't actually have to forgo too much more in your lifestyle. It's just what you're actually spending your money on.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
can you build an app for this? Because, seriously, we got to find a way to get breakthrough. I've got kids.
There's probably one less app. You just it's to me it's winding back to the basics.
It's not buying an iPhone.
I definitely think it's appable. It's more. It's having someone being able to break through, and that's why what Nick does is pretty special.
Real people
and the strategy that he can show you, and he's done it. Like he has done his 10-year plan. Yeah. Like he's 39 properties in.
Have you got one?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I would say that I had one before I met them, but now it's better. Okay. It's much.
What's made it better?
I've learnt that I don't have to have 20% and live on beans and beg the bank. There's other ways to do that.
Extrapolate on that,
it's more we get brought up to say you need 20% and all this savings and all these things. You don't learn about recycling debt. You don't learn about tax efficiencies. You don't learn about. Or I wasn't at school playing tennis.
Sorry.
So all these
20% is
it's a deposit for a house, and it's really hard to get. So let's just say, for example, hypothetically,
so the average cost of a house these days, $1 million?
Yep.
Right.
How on earth? So just think about this. So how on earth? So I'm 20. How am I going to do that?
200,000.
It's going to be really hard to save for, and
then by the time you're 30, what you've saved up, properties have increased more than what you've saved in that time.
Yeah. So an example could be a 20-year-old with a good job, could be that tradie who's doing pretty well because they are these days, good on them. They put that away, they live at home a little bit longer, they rent vest, and then when they do get to 28 or 30 or 32 and they do want to live, example in Ashgrove and send their kids to Marist, they can sell half of it and go and buy it.
Yeah. Okay.
But if they wait till they're 32 and they've saved all their money, buying a place in Ashgrove is no longer $1 million. It's now $3 million.
Exactly. And you're not going to, and how you can earn that compared to saving every time you change a spark plug compared to through property. So
some of those words you used before saying, you don't have to live on
beans
and then what were the other things you were talking about?
There's nothing wrong with tuna, right?
It's just tough. Well, you just get told you can't. They are, but it's tough. I was anyway growing up. It's tough to do, and you have to do it tough to put it away.
So how does this make it better rather than that traditional model of
because you're, as Magnus said, you are earning through compounded equity.
Yeah.
So if I have 5 properties that I bought at $50, and then when I look to sell them in 10 years' time, and they're now $1,000,
But how do I
never
get-
would have saved
How
that.
do I get there?
You buy off the plan
Yeah.
initially, which you only need 10% of that property's worth to put down as a deposit.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to pay for it for 2 or 3 years until
Correct.
it's finished. And once it's finished, it's already improved in
Grown.
value.
So practically your 10% deposit is
Gives you another
literally
50,
growing.
100 grand, 200 grand.
growing them. Yeah. So
Yep.
that 10% could grow a lot bigger than
Yeah.
if you're trying to save with
Yeah.
trying to save for 20%.
Yeah. And let's just say that,
Mortgage,
just
right?
say
Yeah.
you buy something for $500,000. Okay. It's ready to go. Off the plan will be at least 10%. There's fees and stuff. We may or may not have stamp duty soon. It's meant to be coming off, but we'll see. There's none in Perth. I know that. So this is it's $500,000. You put 50 down. It settles and it's getting built over the next 3 years. When it is finished in 3 years' time, example only, because things change, example could be it's worth 650.
Yeah.
At 150,000, that equity, your bank loan is only 450,000. It's not 600.
And also, if you're just trying to save that 20% to buy $1 million house, you've given up
So
so
you've made
much.
150 in equity, and you only have to go and
That's
get a
what I was
loan of
trying to get, yeah.
450.
Then you lever that
'Cause
equity.
I
to
want
buy
my
your
daughter
next
to hear
place.
this, right?
Yeah.
It makes total common sense to me.
Yeah.
That's investments 101.
Yeah.
But we're not taught this as a school. And I was just thinking about it out loud in my mind, going, why did I bought my property when I was 21, and no one else in my entire schooling that I was connected with did that. I was like, why did I do that? I still don't know the answer now, but I was thinking, obviously having a mindset. But this conversation should have happened at school.
Yeah.
But
It does.
did not happen at
Or
school.
at least shown you the
Not in
options,
this
right?
Yeah.
light.
No.
Yeah.
It's just a different light. That's all. Anyway, so, but it's the mindset piece, because you could tell someone this all day long, but they'll go, "That's nice," and
They won't do
that
anything
sounds
about
really
it.
good. Don, go and have a chat to the guys in the office. That'd be amazing. Yeah, I will. You don't.
But this has got practicality. I heard a really good saying recently, and that's don't tell me, show me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here you can actually put it all out and say, well, this is what I bought then, and
Yep.
this is what it's worth now, and this is what I've done.
And everyone in the business believes, like I said, I was doing this before I came to the business, just in a different light.
Yep.
Nick has had a 10-year journey. Michael's done the same. That they do this. You meet businesses that say, "Oh yeah, but I don't do it." Well, okay, how does that work? It's like being a tennis coach saying, "Oh, but I don't hit forehands." Like, well, what do you mean you don't hit forehands? That doesn't make sense. You're meant to be a coach. So they're just this amazing business that wants to help people, and we can, if they want to.
Love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We'll get him in next. He's good.
Yeah, well, I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And yeah, thanks for the explanation, because I was trying to get into the
Yeah.
roots of it and the rudimental stuff.
I'll get a
of it, because
whiteboard
that's
next
what-
time.
Yeah, I think we should, because most people don't get it, right? Like it's like, how do we change that mindset from buying that iPhone or
Yeah.
something that you don't need, or a subscription that has no value?
It's like the cup of coffee analogy. You
Yeah.
buy coffee every day for a year, and you could have gone on a holiday. Don't.
But then I won't have my coffee. That's
Okay.
a bad example, because
I don't
That's
know.
a perfect example.
Yeah.
no, it's
I don't
not.
know.
You're not
I
the
think it's
productive-
Make coffee
okay.
at home. That's the
Exactly.
whole point.
Make coffee at home.
Depends how much productivity you get from a really good coffee.
I think you need to go and talk to Nick.
I think he's got too much money. It's Brian Yule.
And buys coffee.
No, I'm an idiot.
Anyway, yeah.
Oh, in all honesty, I have my Breville coffee machine. I hardly ever buy any coffee out.
That's
because
good.
That's perfect coffee.
That is- that
I
is-
can make
that
at
is
home.
good.
So
Yep.
Yeah. But back to
I'm not that
the
stupid.
but back from the sport to business, same skills. I just been very lucky. I love learning and I love to help. And whether I was helping your forehand or helping you, what we do with New Star, or helping you be a player, or helping you be a coach and do hot shots, or helping First Nations kids have tennis for the first time ever, and going to schools, I love to help. Where that came from, I'm not
If
sure,
you could
but yeah.
summarise to one of the listeners, they want to make a change, what are the top 3 things that they should do? Or even the first thing they should
Change on which bit?
do to change to become financially secure?
Oh, I am definitely not a financial advisor by any stretch. Just go
That's a
and
good thing, right? Because
we are not financial advisors.
Financial
we are
advice,
property.
that's been my problem always. Like financial advisors are incentivized by what they sell, right? Whereas
I think to Magus's question,
I think it's mindset.
Yeah,
it's
correct.
if you want to honestly, if you want to find something you're passionate about and learn how it happened.
Yep.
So if you think that Lucas is amazing, go and ask him, how'd you do it?
Yep.
That's what I would suggest.
I've heard that actually from a lot of successful people. They reckon one of the number one traits is just to be curious.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to go and ask.
Yeah.
Always ask why.
Yep.
Yeah, the strength
then ask
of an
how.
idle question.
Yeah.
Strength of an idle question is very, very powerful.
Pissed off many people in my time because I am too curious.
Yep. Me too. But when you look at it,
they give me a very superficial answer. I'm like, no, I want to go deep.
Yep.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
But sometimes they don't know.
Yeah.
think about it though. You look at a 3-year-old, and if you've got kids, you got
anymore, but yeah.
So you look at the curiosity level of a 3-year-old. All they're doing there, mum this, mum that, dad this, dad that, and that's why they learn so exponentially is because you're asking all those questions.
Yeah.
And then we go to school.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
anyway, well, we will leave it there.
Stop on that.
Yeah.
It's been
It's been a great chat.
Thanks, guys.
I'm looking forward to being on the panel. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and I'm here to help.
Hope you enjoyed this exciting episode of the Mastering Podcast. If you got value from today's conversation, hit that subscribe button now and share this episode with a friend. Until next time.